In one of our recent videos, I spoke about how I solve people's trading problems when they email me by finding the root cause and then fixing that. In that video, I wasn't really dwelling on that particular point, but I did receive some questions afterwards from people asking me how I find the root cause of a problem. So I thought I'd really quickly elaborate on that in this video. So the actual answer is that there are many ways that you can find the root cause, and it all depends on how complex you want to be. However, for most people's problems, there's actually a simple approach which I'm going to explain to you now. This concept applies to anything in life really, especially the operations of a business. So although in this video I'll be explaining it in relation to trading, you can really apply it to absolutely anything you want. As you know, when it comes to the things that we look for on the charts, this is all based upon a market theory that we developed in-house and then turned into the Duomo method. However, that's just for the analysis. When it comes to everything else, like how you work and how you operate as a trader, what we teach you is all based upon tried and tested business models. Essentially, I'm teaching you how to approach your trading like you're operating a business and not just taking part in some sort of hobby, because that's how you achieve long-term success. And in order to do that, I apply the same models, processes and methods that are used by the biggest and most successful businesses and thought leaders in that area. So, having said that, this particular technique that I'm going to teach you about today was actually developed and is used by Toyota as part of their world-changing production systems, and it was explained in great detail in the book The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. So, the technique is called the 5 whys, and it is simply exactly what it says on the tin. You're asking why 5 times. It sounds simple, but it really works. And here's why. It's because, like I said before in the previous video, when you have a problem, if you just look to that surface level and don't dig deeper, then you'll just fix that surface level problem. But without fixing, or at least identifying the root cause of that problem, or the levels that go before that, then essentially the same problem can present itself again, either in exactly the same way, so you fix it and it happens again, or just presenting itself in a different way, because you haven't fixed the problem, you're just fixing the surface level. If you came to our live event, you would have heard me speak about this before, how you always want to be asking why something's the case, or why something's happening, and then fix it by asking yourself how. How do you do this? How? This approach is particularly useful for trying to figure out whether something is human error or system error, because a lot of the time people assume it's one when it's actually the other. For example, let's say that you're consistently getting a loss because of a particular problem that keeps happening. Now you might look at that problem and think it's system error, but when you dig deeper, it might actually be an issue of you not executing properly. Or the opposite might be true. You might be thinking that you keep making this particular mistake all the time, and when you break it down, it's actually because of a flaw in the system that's causing that to happen. So the best way to explain this is to go through an example. So let's imagine that your average loss size is bigger than your average win size. And believe me, this is a really common mistake with beginners, or a common flaw, or something that they're having a problem with. And what I mean by this is that because your average losses are bigger than your average wins, it means that you make these profits, but then they get wiped out by one loss all the time and you're back to square one. So it's like 2 steps forwards and then 1 or 2 steps back all the time. So the 5 whys in this situation might, as an example, go something like this. Number 1, why are my average losses larger than my average wins? Answer, because I'm not cutting my losses soon enough. Number 2, why am I not cutting my losses soon enough? Answer, because I'm not putting a stop loss in place and I'm leaving up to my own decision making process in the moment every single time. Number 3, why haven't I got a stop loss in place? Answer, because I don't know where to put them. Number 4, why don't I know where to put a stop loss? Answer, because I haven't spent time learning about exit strategy, about where and why I should be exiting my trades, and I haven't spent time tracking my losing trades to see if there's anything consistent to actually analyze the results and find where I should be putting my exits in the future. Number 5, why haven't I done this? Answer, because I haven't yet accepted that losing is an inevitable part of trading. and therefore I've been focusing everything that I've been learning and everything I've been doing on the profit taking side of trading and about finding the right setups or finding the right place to take my profit, rather than thinking about protecting my capital, understanding where I'll exit in a loss, and making sure that my downside is as limited as possible. So it sounds really simple, but Toyota found that for whatever reason, it was this magic 5 whys, 5 questions that help you find the root cause, but also help you find actionable steps that are going to solve that problem, rather than just at surface level. So it was something about 5 questions that allowed this process to take place. So in this particular example that we just discussed, it was actually found that something that seemed like a system problem of average losses being larger than average wins, it broke down to actually being a human error rather than a system error. And beyond that, it was actually a psychological issue rather than an issue of skill set. Obviously, this example that I gave you was extremely simple and straightforward. We got there very easily, and out of the 5 whys that we asked, only the 4th and the 5th why give us something that we can take an action on to actually improve or to change, to solve that problem. However, in some situations, it might be that at every single stage, so every single one of the 5 whys that you ask, provide you something that you can potentially solve. So each one has a problem that can be solved right there, rather than having to go down to the next whys. So in those situations, we need to figure out which one we're going to work on, which one's going to be the best use of our time for the potential result at the end. So obviously the 5th why is essentially going to be the root cause. So we might look at that and say, okay, by solving this why, we solve all the rest of them as well. So obviously this one's worth the most effort and time to focus on that. However, if the amount of time and effort that it will take to solve that is going to be way too much, you might think, okay, it's better to leave that how it is, to understand that the root cause is never going to be solved if we don't work on that, but we can potentially work on the layers above that and for less time and less energy solve the problem to an extent that if it arises again, you still have saved time by not having to fix that 5th why. And sometimes that 5th, the root cause, might be too difficult to solve. So in that case, you might have to leave it and look to the whys before that for how you fix the solution, or fix the problem, find the solution in the best and most effective way possible for you in that situation right now. Like in the example we just discussed, the root cause is actually a psychological issue. So although it might be simple in principle, that you just have to, change from seeing things as being all about making profit to understanding that a loss is an inevitable part of trading and you have to understand both. However, because it's in your mindset, that's not something we can just switch on and off. It's something we have to work out over time. So although we might get there eventually, it's something that's affecting our trading right now. So we might need to look to the other whys for how we can fix that problem in the short term, but still be working on the long term. So instead, we might look at that 4th why, which is we're going to learn about exit strategy, about how and where to put our stop losses, and also start to track our losing trades and spend time analyzing all that data that we have to find out where there might be a consistent place that if we placed our stop loss would have avoided us losing extra on the losing trades but not lose those winning trades. So by doing that, we have something formulaic. It's something we can start immediately. It's not going to rely on us changing our psychology, but as a result of that action, you might actually start to influence and change that 5th why, which is about your psychological issue, and change your perception. But at least that 4th why, by addressing that and understanding where you put your stop loss, you do change the problems before. So that surface level problem, you do fix that. But it's just that if you don't fix that 5th one, that 5th why, the root cause, it may present itself in a different way in the future. But it's about having a structured plan to make sure that you're solving problems and working on the root causes of them all at the same time. So guys, I don't want to go into way too much detail and overcomplicate this simple concept for you right now, so I'm going to end it there. However, I do have a challenge for you. I know that all of us have some sort of flaw or issue with our trading. Even me, having started my journey of trading almost 2 decades ago, there are still things that I could be better at. No one's perfect in everything. So here's my challenge for you. In the comment section, and I'm really interested to see who's going to do this, who's going to be brave enough to share, I want you to write down what your problem is with trading that you haven't yet addressed. And then I want you to do the 5 whys. So Why? Put number 1 and write what that first one is. Number 2, why? And really think about it and ask yourself why. It's maybe not something that will take a few minutes, but I'm sure you can do it in 10 minutes, 20 minutes. It's something similar to what we discussed before when we talked about being your personal trading performance coach. I'll make sure the video is in the end card at the end of this video. And so write those 5 whys, and then I can scan through and just check that you're on the right track with it and say to you whether that's good or not, and maybe give you some suggestions of how to change that or dig deeper to find the actual root cause. And I think it will set you on the right track, because if you want to implement this in your trading and to improve, you should start it right now and commit publicly by doing it in the comment section. And don't forget, if you like this video, then do leave a like, and if you want more videos about learning to trade and the financial markets, make sure you subscribe to the channel. As always, I appreciate you watching. Take care, and I will see you very soon. Bye bye.